All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
We'll start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we want to give peace and salutations unto the elect, starting with the Tabernacle of David. All right, the prophets that have been chosen from the foundation of the earth to preach this word, which some of those very men are here on the earth today preaching and making their bodies a living sacrifice. Also, peace and salutations unto the large multitude, the rest of the men, women, and children, whom the Lord will have mercy on. All right, it's another class, GMS Dallas. Basically, today we're going to basically go into one of our forefathers, Daniel, who you read about in the book of Daniel, but he's also mentioned in other places in the scriptures. And what's intriguing about Daniel is that outside of Yahushua, he's the only prophet or man that you read about where there's no negativity. Like he didn't have there's nothing bad. There's no down points,
Right.
you know, to his ministry and his being. You know, basically he was perfect. You know, now we know, of course, he wasn't sinless. He was in the flesh. Yahushua is the only man that walked the earth who did no sin, but nothing negative was mentioned about him, man. So we're going to just go into some scriptures, go into some points, facts about Daniel that brothers and sisters may not know, and hopefully you're edified. We're going to start in Sirach, the 44th chapter, and then we're just going to jump to particular points, and like I said, hopefully be edified. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 44, verse 1.
Right.
Let us now praise famous men.
Right, famous men. And Daniel's one of those famous men. Go ahead.
And our fathers that begat us.
And our fathers that begat us. How did they begat us? Through their works. Okay, go ahead.
The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning.
Right, and actually there's a physical seed of some of them literally still in the earth so that they can come back.
Right.
You know, but that's a whole nother, lesson. Go ahead.
The remnant.
Yeah, the remnant. Well, it says that in this chapter. Actually, we'll jump to it. Yes, go ahead.
Verse 3. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms.
Right, such as did bear rule in their kingdom. So let us now praise famous men, such as did bear rule in their kingdoms. Go ahead.
Men renowned for their power.
Right.
Giving counsel by their understanding.
Right, giving counsel by their understanding. And Daniel, man, he did that. He was the man, bro.
Yeah.
You know? Go ahead.
And declaring prophecies.
And declaring prophecies. And did not Daniel do that to a T? I mean, he has some of the major prophecies that we can go to, all right, to link and to go and teach Israel today, to this very day. His prophecies are something we lean heavily upon.
Straight up.
You know, as all of them, but his was like,
Right.
you know, like it's right on time. Go ahead.
If I could say that remnant scriptures in the 17th verse.
Yeah, yep, we'll get it. The water.
Verse 4. Leaders of the people by their counsels.
Right, leaders of the people by their counsel. So this is why we're going into that, because these men are very important to what we're doing today, man. If it wasn't for these men and their sacrifices going all the way back to Adam, Seth, you know, even Abel, you know, Seth, Enoch, you know, Enos. These men, basically through their faithfulness, we have this platform today. And through our faithfulness, the platform of righteousness, Lord willing, will be able to continue if we're of that number. All right? You got a precept? Okay, go ahead.
Leaders of the people by their counsels, by their knowledge of learning, meat for the people.
Right, meat for the people, man. And their learning is meat for the people. All right, it's through their teachings that we got what we got, you know? Go ahead.
And wise and eloquent in their instructions.
Mm-hmm. Wise and eloquent in their instructions. And the thing is, you can look at the men of the Lord, because one of the things we're going to bring out, Daniel was the first to do the smoothie cleanse that everybody today's doing. Daniel did it first. Daniel did it first, you know, which leads to what? A clearer mind. He received more visions, and he was held in higher esteem than the rest of, you know, the people, due to what? Refusing the king's meat. But we'll get to that. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Such as found out musical tunes
Right.
and recited verses in writing.
Right. Because music is a big part of our culture, man. Go ahead.
Rich men furnished with ability,
Mhm.
living peaceably in their habitations.
Right.
All these were honored in their generations,
Right.
and were the glory of their times.
The glory of their times. And Lord willing, we're the glory of this time. Go ahead.
There be of them that have left a name behind them,
Mhm.
that their praises might be reported.
Right. So we have Daniel, Habakkuk, Hosea, and there's particular prophets who we can go to. Ezra, that's written about. All right. But then you also have some that aren't written about. And those who aren't written about, they're going to get their glory. All right. When Yahushua returns, they're going to be put in their order. Because you have certain prophets who came onto the earth and went in.
Right.
Like hardcore, did mighty works, man, you know, but you don't, it wasn't, the Lord didn't write it. You can have it written for us to have in this time. But we're going to get everything back, you know, once we get delivered. Go ahead.
Verse 8, there be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported.
Right.
And some there be which have no memorial,
Mhm.
who are perished as though they had never been,
Mm.
and are become as though they had never been born.
Right. You never hear about them. Their works weren't written and recorded for us to, you know, the Lord gave us just enough to have faith. That's what he wanted, ultimately.
Right.
Then Buzzy still mentioned them in a sense right there. He didn't call them by name, but
Right.
he mentioned those
Right.
who was a part of that war.
Right,
They
right.
still was irrelevant.
Right, because even at the time of, you had Obadiah, he hid 100 prophets. It talks about the sons of the prophets and these prophets, and they don't have name. We don't know their story, but they're prophets. So there's a lot of prophets that we haven't ever heard about, but we just know they'll get their glory once, you know, and they have their glory ultimately, but we know about them, and we're some of them. There's brothers right now with pages, if you go and listen to them, you're like, damn, but there's only 17 subscribers.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Old men too.
Yeah, those are the men of the Lord, but they just don't have, you know, the Lord didn't make it to where they would be as famous as certain others, you know.
Because back then you had the great multitude of believers coming to see Yahushua, and they all went to their respectable province to teach the people.
Teach the people.
So that's those men. We might be, I tell you, we might be those
Right,
men.
right. We are those men. Lord, I believe we are. We just got to endure, you know.
Well, it said he reserved 7,000 men that have not
Not
bowed
bad. And that's a complete number.
On the verse, little verse 9, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children are after them.
Their children gonna be the same because their children are gonna come in their lot. Go ahead.
But these were merciful men, whose righteousness hath not been forgotten.
By the Most High through His Son. Go ahead.
With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance.
With their seed shall remain a good inheritance. So there's an offspring of the actual prophets here still in the earth today, man. Go ahead.
And their children are within the covenant.
Their children are within the covenant. And that's how they're going to get the promise, through their children. See?
Yeah.
They're going to get the promise through their children, through returning through their line, man. All right? So without further ado, now what did you wanted to jump to 17, you said?
Oh, those are that remnant.
That's that remnant scripture.
Right. Nah, we're good on that. Let's jump to, we're just going to go into facts about Daniel. All right? That's basically what the purpose of the scripture is. The first thing we want to establish about Daniel is that he was a direct descendant of David. All right? And we're going to prove that. Go to Isaiah 39 and 7. Baruch Shah, somebody.
I got it right. Actually,
Right? Isaiah 39 and 7. And somebody,
Yeah, I
can
got
somebody
it.
go to the genealogy of Yahushua and find Hezekiah? Go ahead.
This is Isaiah 39 and verse 7.
Right.
It says, "And of thy sons that shall issue from
Now
thee."
this is when Hezekiah went off. Basically, he brought the heathen into his house. It was like, look at everything I got.
Yeah.
Look, this is, and Hezekiah was of the direct lineage of David.
Right.
Because after the split of Solomon, on the side of Judah, you had 20 kings. Now one of them was a woman. Y'all know about her? Athaliah. Her name was Athaliah. She actually sat on the throne, but she was going to try to kill all of the men, and the Lord saved. Joash. What Jehu was Joash, and the Lord had him preserved so that the throne could continue. But basically, a woman, a lot of people don't know, sat on the throne of David for a minute, man. But they put her ass to death because she was a demon, man. But there were 20 kings after the split. All right, on the southern kingdom had 20 people to sit on the throne, and the northern kingdom had about 17, I believe. I don't know exactly. None of the northern kingdom kings did right. But of the southern kingdom, all right, you had particulars who did right, you know, and Josiah was the last one. But Hezekiah is one of them. He's within that line. All right. So somebody, you got it? Somebody got it in Matthew real quick?
Matthew 1 and 9, and Ozias begat Jotham, and Jotham begat Ahaz, and Ahaz begat Hezekiah.
Hezekiah. That's in Matthew, right?
Yep.
And that's the Davidic line. All right. So what we're getting ready to find out is that Daniel is going to fulfill a major prophecy that was told to Hezekiah. Now read it.
This is Isaiah 39 and 7. It says, of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon.
Right, they shall be eunuchs. Read that again, Salaki.
It says, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon.
Read the part about thy sons.
Oh, come. And thy sons that shall issue from thee,
that shall issue from thee, go ahead.
Which thou shalt beget, shall they take away.
Shall they take away? Because who came and took them away? Who took the Judah down at that time?
The
Babylonians. Right, the Babylonians. I wasn't asking you.
Oh, my bad. I thought you pointed
I know you know. You know. But ultimately, the Babylonians sacked the temple, and one of the things that the heathen did, and this is a known, you know, a lot of kingdoms did this. When they sacked a kingdom and took them down, the royal lineage they would keep to themselves, so that not only could they learn from them, they can learn about how to go into their land and where is what and where's this treasure, what's hidden, and the knowledge of Jerusalem through this line. Because Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were of that line. They're of that lineage. They were the top echelon of Judah. So when Nebuchadnezzar sacked and he got the good things out of the temple, he also took the royal lineage. Now, real quick, somebody get Jeremiah 27 and 20.
Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 20.
Right.
19?
Yep.
Verse 19. But thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shah hosts, concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the bases, and concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in the city.
Right, in this city, Jerusalem, go ahead.
Which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took not when he carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem.
And all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Okay? All the nobles were taken. Okay? Now we want to go back to somebody get Isaiah 39 and 7. Read it again. Okay.
This is Daniel 1 verse 3.
We will get it. We'll get it in just a minute. We'll get it in just a minute.
I still got it right here.
Yep. Read Isaiah 39 and 7 again.
This is Isaiah 39 and 7, and it says, and of thy sons that shall issue from thee,
right,
which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon.
They shall be eunuchs. Now this is not talking about, because you have different kind of eunuchs. Yeah. You have a particular group, IUIC, teaching that Daniel's rod was chopped off. That ain't what that's talking about. Right. Okay, but you do have eunuchs. Somebody get that. What is that in Matthew? Matthew. Somebody can look it up on the blue letter. There's different types of eunuchs, but this is speaking in particular of the hierarchy of any nation you took down. You would basically keep them to yourself. All right. And have them to work for your interest. That's all that's talking about. We don't have to get that. There's a eunuch basically who's born with his rod and his members messed up. There's a eunuch that basically is, go ahead.
This is Matthew chapter 19 verse 12. And it said, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb. And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And that's when you're talking about getting castrated. Right,
castrated. Daniel wasn't castrated. The scriptures in Ezekiel talked about he wouldn't be able to save his children.
Right.
So he had children. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't speak about it, but ultimately his rod wasn't chopped off. The eunuch that this is talking about is a eunuch. Basically, you were separated for the purpose of a kingdom for
Right.
their benefit.
That's right.
You were of the higher our hierarchy. If we take down the Moabites, there's Moabite scientists. We may be like, you know what? Let's keep these motherfuckers to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And vet them, see what they know, and talk. You know what I'm saying? If we were to take them down right now, I'm saying. You know. Go ahead.
And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake.
Right.
He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
Right, meaning basically you put off the world. Some brothers will be like, I'm not dealing with women no more, I'm just going to wait for the Lord.
Yeah.
All right? Or you put off the world, put off particular behaviors. Basically, you're a eunuch spiritually.
Yep.
You cutting things off.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
Spiritually.
All right, spiritually. But Daniel, his rod wasn't chopped off. That
Right.
ain't what that's talking about. Go ahead and somebody get that Daniel 1.
I got it right here.
Oh, shit.
So
Go ahead.
Whoever, I'm sorry. Whoever.
Hit it.
Daniel,
This is-
what verse? Oh, go ahead, brother.
This is Daniel chapter 1, verse 3.
Now, remember, Isaiah just prophesied to Hezekiah, who was of the direct lineage of David. So Daniel, who we're getting ready to find out, he's a descendant of Yahushua. He's of that line, man. Okay? Go ahead.
This is Daniel chapter 1, verse 3. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel,
Right.
and of the king's seed, and of the princes.
Right. Of the king's seed and of the princes. Right? And Jeconiah was the king. And I believe he did wickedness. He wasn't righteous.
He wasn't.
He wasn't righteous. That's why his ass got carried away into Babylon. But ultimately, Daniel was fulfilling this prophecy, him, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, of what Isaiah told Hezekiah. Go ahead.
God. Verse 4. Children of whom was no blemish.
No
but
blemish.
favored.
Well favored, no blemish. They were on point.
Oh.
They were like, we can't kill them. It's basically like a trophy. Look what we got. We got the royal lineage of David.
Right.
You know?
Because if you got the upper echelon, the other people just go be easy to be in servitude.
Right.
They go see that and they just go fall in line.
That's right.
Right.
That's a great point.
Right.
Go fall in line.
Right.
That's
Yeah, that's true. Makes sense. Go ahead.
And skillful in all wisdom,
Skillful in all wisdom, which Daniel was. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego as well. Go ahead.
and cunning in knowledge.
Cunning and knowledge. Meaning they were wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Because you can be cunning in wickedness,
Right.
but you can be cunning in righteousness, man. You know, we're supposed to be cunning in righteousness. Go ahead.
And understanding science.
Understanding science, which is knowledge, knowing the earth, different things. Like, imagine having a conversation with Daniel. You learn so much, bro. He knew about most likely the roots, everything.
Man.
You know,
Yeah, straight up.
the smells, the earth, how the seas work,
The vibration of
music, musical tunes. As scripture says, such as sought out musical tunes.
Right.
About the leaders, go ahead.
Gun. And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace.
They had ability to stand in the king's palace, man. Go ahead.
And whom they might teach the learning and tongue of the Chaldeans.
Right. So they were teaching them. Did it say eunuch yet?
Yeah, it said it in the previous verse.
Read that again.
Daniel 1 and 3. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs.
Master of his eunuchs. So Daniel is a direct descendant of David. And he fulfilled the prophecy that Isaiah told Hezekiah that since you did this shit, you went off, your seed is going to be eunuchs in Babylon. So Daniel fulfilled that. Right. That's one of the facts about Daniel that, you know, maybe certain brothers knew, but a lot of people don't know. Somebody get Daniel 6 and 13 real quick.
Daniel chapter 6.
Speak up, Baba Kashab.
Fine. Daniel chapter 6, verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days.
Daniel 6 and 13.
I'll
I'll read it. It says,
What was I reading?
Oh, I got it.
Right.
Daniel 6 and 13. Then answered they and said before the king that Daniel, which is of the captivity of the children of Judah.
see, he was of the captivity of the children of Judah. That's big, man. This is Yahushua's family directly. So why do you think he got all those visions? All right.
Man, that's heavy.
John the Revelator too.
There
you
he
know,
is. Yep.
which we'll get. Go ahead.
Regarded not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day.
So he was praying to the Lord. He was not listening to that bullshit.
Right.
Right.
All right. Now another a good thing to know about Daniel is he was sort of like the spiritual temple, because you got to think the Babylonians sacked the temple, but they still were subject to Daniel. He was basically the spiritual temple. The Spirit of the Lord dwelled with him, just like with us. Though we don't have a physical temple anymore, the spiritual temple. Now they rebuilt it at the time of Cyrus, but at that time that Daniel was prophesying, and he prophesied the whole, basically 70 years. And then he was thrown into the lion's den when he was about 80.
Yes.
He was older.
Yeah, he was old, yeah.
He was older when he was thrown into the lion's den. But basically, he's like the spiritual temple. When you view his ministry, he's where it's at, but there's no physical temple.
Right.
See, the physical temple represented the dwelling of the Most High Yahweh through his Son, his Word. So Daniel, being that there wasn't any more physical temple, acted as a spiritual temple, which we act as well.
Precept.
And that king knew that they would come from the line of Judah.
They knew it.
Damn.
Yeah. It's like we got the king's line.
Right.
So you know they were, Go ahead.
It's
Because you
Isaiah.
think you take down the royals of a particular kingdom, they gonna know the secrets of the land.
Right.
They gonna be able to tell you about the culture and how to come up and how to do this and how to do that, so it would benefit the kingdom.
That's right.
You know?
This Ezekiel 11:16. It says, "Therefore say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen,
Mm-hmm.
and although I have scattered them among the countries,
Mm-hmm.
yet will I be unto them a little
A
sanctuary
little sanctuary.
in the countries where they shall come."
Right, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, all right, were basically that holy, being scattered, being taken out of power, but the Lord still is dealing with us. And they worked mighty works, man. You had the lion's den, you had the song of the 3 holy children, in which they went into the fire and weren't burnt. They didn't even smell like fire. So these are mighty works that will work through these men in spite of the spiritual temple, the physical temple being sacked. And you have so many who put stake in that physical temple, but the spiritual temple is that much more, because it's a direct, Now, so we got that established. Anybody else want to say anything on that? The line of Judah? All right, so another thing is Daniel 1:4. He was unblemished. When you read his story, now we're not going to say he was perfect. He never sinned, because we know only one man walked the earth and didn't sin, and that's Yahushua. But pretty much Daniel is outside of Yahushua, one of the only people that you read about, and he was never David. You hear even Moses, David, Zerubbabel, which they're all the same people. Zerubbabel had to be cursed out by Haggai to get off his ass. Solomon, he went off. You can read about him going off. There's various men of the Lord, great men, that you can read about. Their folly at times. Even Noah was nakedness.
Right.
That's something that could be taken as a negative. But Daniel, he was unblemished.
Right.
He like nothing negative. Like all wins the whole time. Somebody get Daniel 1:4.
I'm still
Hit it. Yeah, you there already.
This is Daniel 1:4. It says, "Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace."
Right. Now jump to verse 20.
Come. This is Daniel 1:20. "And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm."
Right. So you
10
had the
times?
Chaldeans. You had the Chaldeans. These are the witches and warlocks of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Daniel had more wisdom than them.
They consulted with Daniel.
The king had to go to Daniel to understand particular visions.
Yeah.
So the beauty of it is you sack the physical temple, but you still need us, nigga.
Because he knew David was capable of doing that.
Right.
Yeah, bro.
Right. So Daniel was on point. There's a point where the heathen tried to lie on him, but it didn't even work.
Yeah, he threw the ass in the furnace.
I forget where it's at, but we'll, Lord willing, we can get to that next. So he was unblemished, man. He was basically on point. Go ahead.
Okay, so like, Lord, you put,
Speak up.
the Lord, he put like Daniel and like young men in certain positions, when they get, basically when they, go into captivity to preserve their
To preserve their line, right. So righteousness can be preserved. That's why he gave us the Holy Spirit. We're scattered, and he basically sent the Holy Spirit unto us so that what? We can be justified and being delivered. And this platform of righteousness can continue, man. All right? Now let's get the smoothie thing, because Daniel is the first you read about that basically did the smoothie. Just type in pulse. Just type in pulse in the blue letter. I didn't write that down, but, he didn't eat the king's meat, basically, man. Okay?
1-8.
Somebody closer to do most of the reading.
1-8.
Yep. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 1, I'll start verse 7. That's verse 8. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with a portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
Right.
Now the Most High had brought Daniel unto favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
Right. And what the scripture say, when you please the Lord, yeah, somebody get that real quick, because Daniel is a great example of that.
He sure is.
And we're an example of that.
Right.
Like, although we hate it when we preach, but if people didn't know what we really did, the people who run into us in this world, even the heathen, they love us, man. They really like brothers, man.
At work, when you're doing your job, bro, they rely on you.
They want you to be there. Like when you off, they be sad.
Right.
And when you come back, they be happy to see you.
Oh,
Seriously.
my supervisor hit for all the little random little work that's done on my job.
Yeah.
I'm always the first when he calls me some little bullshit.
Yeah, because he
They
know
be
you'll
like,
get the job
"Argh,"
done.
But it's like fucking.
He know you'll get the job done. He knows.
I got that Proverbs 16. Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways please Yahweh,
When a man's ways please Yahweh,
he maketh even his enemies to be at peace.
he
with
maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him, man. And Daniel was a fulfillment of that, man.
Right.
All right? So go back. Where we at?
Come. Back in Daniel chapter 1, verse 9 again. Now the Most High brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
Uh-huh.
And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel,
So you had a particular prince that was over watching those particular eunuchs that were of conquered nations. He didn't go and cut their rods off. All right?
right, even if I can say this, even in the margin, if you have a precept Bible for eunuchs, it says, males employed as high officers.
Whoa. Read that again. That's heavy. Read that
It
again.
says in the margin, it says, for eunuchs, males employed as high officers,
Woo!
usually by an oriental ruler.
Right. Oh, man. Males employed by the hierarchy of a kingdom to basically tell the read it again. So I don't know.
It says, males employed as high officers, usually by an oriental ruler.
Usually by, there you go. So that's not talking about the eunuch that got his rod chopped off, man. Daniel's rod, Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego rod were not chopped off.
Right.
The one whose rod was chopped off was mainly the one who you would have watching over your women and shit. You would chop his rod off so that he wouldn't have any sexual desire towards you. And that's what kings did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Basically, you got him watching over the women and shit. So you chop his rod off, but he fucking eat pussy all day. He fucking
Example of being wrong.
That's a lip off and shit. That's like shit.
Cut his tongue out.
right. They'll cut his tongue out. But nah, Salakia, man. All right, let's go back to the smoothie. Is it more?
Yeah, that's more.
All right.
And the prince of the eunuchs, verse 10, and the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink.
Right, his meat, because there was particular diet that the king gave to those upper elite of the kingdoms that were taken down. But Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were like, nah. Or I don't know if it was just Daniel, but I think the rest of them, all of them,
Yeah.
right? They didn't eat of the king's meat. You gonna say something?
Yeah, just to add to what you're saying, it's more so like they were within his council.
Right, right.
You know, when you sit at the table at the council, there's a particular food that's presented there.
Right.
And everybody's required to eat it because it's
Right.
supping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they weren't eating of that meat.
Right.
You know, they were holding off.
Hey, even Saul on the new moon, remember David said,
Yeah.
I've never failed to eat. You know,
That's
he would
right.
always eat with the king.
That's
all
right.
Go ahead.
That's right. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort?
Right. Like, why you don't want to just do what we telling you to do, bro? Eat the meat. But Daniel didn't defile himself with it. So I don't know what it was, if it was actually unlawful meat.
Probably was
Right.
off of meat, sacrifice to
That's a good
other
point.
Sacrifice, yeah, yep.
Yeah,
yep,
idols.
yep,
That's
yep,
cool.
yep,
You know what I'm
yep,
saying?
Everybody's
Like,
going in.
Right.
like, no, man,
right.
no, I'll tell you what, you give us a pulse,
right.
and if our countenance be weaker than the other guys who eat your meat,
Right.
then you deal with
Right.
that.
Daniel wouldn't have ate Indian food. Like, he wouldn't have ate it like we go to an Indian food place.
Yeah.
Daniel was like, nah, I'm not eating that shit.
You eat Andalus
Right.
without the meat.
But I'm saying, all of that is offered, everything we eat is offered to us.
Right.
But specifically, when you go to an Indian restaurant or particular cultures, their gods are in there.
True. The
You see what I'm saying?
God,
Right, with the 8 hands and shit. Yeah.
Nothing to do with that shit.
Right.
The chords all.
Right.
Damn.
Yep.
Great point.
That's why that point came up with Paul in the church where they were like, what do we do? He was like, man, look, if you believe,
Right.
go
Straight
ahead.
up, man.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king.
Right.
Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs.
Right. He was telling the prince, was like, you gonna fuck my job up, bro. Like, I know you the shit and all, but no, just eat.
You gonna give me whacked.
But Daniel, go ahead.
Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days,
See?
and let them give us posts to eat and water to drink.
Post to eat and water to drink. Now, somebody look up the word for post in the blue letter. Whoever can, bubble shop.
Water says vegetables, beans.
Vegetables, beans. Basically, they ate. They
Where
didn't.
you at, verse 12?
12.
But it's the original smoothie. The original veggie fast. The originals. Yeah. It says vegetables.
That's
The
it.
word is damn.
Yeah, I ain't, yeah.
Sheesh.
I can
Zarayan, Zarai. All right, basically vegetable seed, basically the things that are of the seed, herbs. The root word is Zarai, which is scattered seed. And what did the Lord say in the book of Genesis? Get that in Genesis 1:27 or 29, Bubba Shop. So they knew, and when you eat like that, basically you literally, man, you have more visions.
That's a way of fasting, like you
Yeah, it's
mentioned.
a fast actually. Even when you're not eating meat and you're just eating herbs. Esdras, why do you think he was getting all those hardcore visions? He was eating the herbs of the field. 7 days straight, just eating herbs of the field. Then a vision will come to him.
Damn, bro.
Man.
Right.
You got it.
Go ahead.
Come. This is Genesis 1:29. And the power said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed,
Seed. So basically, he was just eating of the earth. Go ahead.
which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed.
So there you go. So that's basically Daniel ate up the earth, man. And is it more on that?
It says to you it shall be for meat.
Right, for meat. So it don't mean you go eat everything that's
Right.
green, but there's particular things. Go ahead.
It just goes into the result after that. So
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, verse 12 again. Prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us posts to eat and water to drink.
Right.
Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee,
Right.
and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat.
Right.
And as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
Right.
Tell you that's what it was.
It's like, let us eat the diet that I want to eat for 7 days, I believe he said.
10.
10 days, and watch how better we even look than the rest of the people. Skin was probably shining.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Whoa.
It was sharp as hell.
Yep.
That's so.
That was very sharp. So he consented to them in this matter and proved in 10 days.
He proved them basically to see what it was. Go ahead.
Verse 15, at the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which
Right.
ate the portion of the king's meat.
They were healthy.
Right.
Fatter just means that hey, you look healthier. You know what I'm saying? Fatter doesn't mean they were fat as hell. That's an old English way of saying you look healthier. So they were. Read it again.
Verse 15, and at the end of 10 days of their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat.
Right. So Daniel pretty much he started. You know, he's one of the ones to start that. Like the the original smoothie cleanse and vegetable fast or whatever it may be was Daniel, man. And look what it did to him. He was on that tabbouleh, right? Eating good. He was eating good, man. Is it anymore?
I got 2 more verses. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink.
He was like, man, you know what? They'll be better for us if we just let them eat how they want to eat.
Yeah, because
Probably
he
want-
wanted to keep feeding them to make
Right.
sure they was healthier.
Right.
He was like, well, nah, bro, check this out. We'll be more healthier if we look.
Yeah.
In 10 days, if we look we
Right,
up,
right,
we
right.
do have your way with us.
Right.
They came back, he was like, damn.
He was like, damn, he was right.
See more value.
Right.
Yeah,
So the Lord was with him, man. He was with them.
Straight up.
Right. Go ahead.
And gave them pulse.
Judah. That's the real Judah right there.
Damn, bro.
Go ahead.
And gave them posts.
Uh-huh.
Verse 17. As for these 4 children, the Most High gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom.
Right. So this is something for us we can take heed. The more you eat of the field, you may be of a better spirit.
Yep.
It's not an order, but it's something to take into consideration. Okay?
And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams.
Right. He had understanding in all visions and dreams. Okay, now we're going to jump to Daniel 5 and 11. The heathen knew that he would have to have been one of the sons of God.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 11. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy God.
Read it again.
It says,
Now read the verse above that, see what it says.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 10. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed.
And I believe he had a dream, maybe.
Counts as what he been kind of pale, or he was frightened.
He was frightened by a dream, I believe.
It say in the same verse 5, it says, in the same hour came forth fingers.
Oh, this is the writing on the wall. Yeah, this is the writing on the wall. Right, so Daniel had already been working mighty works. So they were like, read now, get to verse 11.
Verse 11, there's a man.
This is Tekel. this is CERN. You know,
Right.
before
Straight
CERN.
up, bro.
You know, go ahead.
There's a man, Daniel 5 and 11, there's a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy God.
Woo! They knew that he was one of the sons of God, and he was.
And
he
in
was-
the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him.
Right, wisdom of the gods was found in him. They knew this is one of the sons of God, bro. They knew it. You got something? Go ahead.
This is another example of another, in our culture.
Right.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 28.
Break it down. I got this.
Okay, come on, that's a bit. And I'm going to start at verse 28. And this is when Paul was shipwrecked, but he was in the island of Melita with a barbarian. But it says, and when they were escaped, then they knew that the island was called Melita. And the barbarian people shewed us no little kindness, for they kindled a fire and received us every one because of the present rain and because of the cold. So they were kind to him. Right. It goes with what the elder said. When a man ways please the Lord, even his enemy shall be at peace with him. Right. And also these barbarians were Israelites that were in the island of Melita as well. It was some of them were. Of course, you had obviously heathen that were there, but you had Israelites that were scattered among them too, because the Lord brought Paul over there for a reason. You know?
That's why he said neither Greek nor Jew. He also mentioned barbarian.
He sure did. He sure did. That's right. It says in verse 3, and when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on a fire, there came a viper out of the heat and fastened on his hand, so it bit him. And when the barbarians saw the venomous beast hang on his hand, they said among themselves, no doubt this man is a murderer, whom though he had escaped the sea, yet vengeance suffer him not to live. You know, and it's spiritual too, because Paul did kill a lot of Christians. You know what I'm saying? But that was one of the beliefs back then. If a snake bit you, you were a murderer. You know what I'm saying?
But he lived.
He lived, that's right.
Yeah.
Verse 5, and he shook off the beast into the fire and felt no harm.
Right.
Howbeit they looked when he should have swollen or fallen down dead suddenly.
Right.
But after they had looked a great while and saw no harm come to him,
Right.
they changed their mind and said that he was a god.
They knew it. They knew it. Why? Because he understood dreams. Somebody get Daniel 2:27.
Come.
Daniel chapter 2, verse 27. Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king had demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king.
They couldn't even break it down. The Chaldeans, which were the witches and warlocks of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, okay, they couldn't even get it. Okay, jump to verse 30.
Jump to verse 30. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes that shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart.
There you go. So he was on point. 4 and 14. Let's see if I can get it. Let's see, Daniel 4 and 14. Nah, that ain't it.
4 and 14.
4 and 4. No, that's it. I mean, 5 and 15. Get that one. Through 17.
Daniel 5 and 15. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing.
Start at 14.
Verse 14.
13. It's a lot.
Verse 13. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, art thou that Daniel which art of the children of the captivity of Judah?
See?
Yeah.
Whom the king my father brought out of Jewry?
The Jews. You had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in Babylon. I mean, in Jerusalem at the time that the Babylonians ruled. Go ahead.
Verse 14. I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee.
Woo!
That was his reputation.
That was his reputation. And that's our reputation, but they ain't go. It's gonna take over time. They'll admit it. You know what I'm saying? They'll admit it. Go
Right.
ahead.
It's even to a degree, they like the way they know it, and they display it in sports.
Right.
Sports and
In
such.
sports,
They knew
yeah.
who we are, but they
Right.
put us in that
Right.
realm of folly and
Right.
music to
Right.
push that narrative.
Right.
Because they know we have the influence to have other people do it.
Right.
Because
Right.
that spirit's in us.
Right. But we're gonna be renowned for wisdom, not for
Right.
how high we jump, not for
That's right.
how hard we hit.
Hard,
It's gonna be for wisdom. You know.
Yeah, that's that prophecy in Hosea 1 and 10.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It says you be found that you are the sons of the living God.
Right. Oh man, somebody get it if you want to. Yeah, if you want to.
That's a good precept.
It's a great precept. It's happening right now, man. So there's a lot of ways we can link Daniel to us, because Daniel was in Babylon, the physical Babylon, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Now, what was the first Babylonian Empire? Because Neo means like new. So what was the first? Nimrod. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, ye are not my people.
And that's what they want. They want to say you're not the people of the Lord, but we're constantly enduring. We're doing the work. We're showing we are. Go ahead.
There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power.
There you go. There it shall be said unto we're going to be blameless. Like Daniel, that's another thing. He was blameless. Get Daniel 6 and 4 through 5. Because there was a point where they tried to blame him, but he was so on point that their testimony didn't stand, man. And they're getting ready to have a testimony against us. All right, go ahead.
Daniel chapter 6, verse 4. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom.
Right, they tried to read that again.
Daniel 6 and 4. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom.
They trying to find a fault.
They trying to find a fault.
They couldn't.
Right, and that's gonna happen with us.
None.
It's go like they go ahead.
No,
Hurry up, no, hit it.
No, you know what?
No, I was gonna say there's gonna come a point we're gonna be brought before. Some of us are gonna be brought before a king, and the Lord is gonna put the spirit to where you would think at that point they would beat the shit out of you, kill you, and chip you. But the Lord is gonna have a spirit. You go say something, they ain't gonna be. You gonna win. He gonna get you out of that situation, man. Daniel was in that situation. Go ahead.
It says, but they could find none occasion nor fault.
Right.
For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him.
He was on point. And that's ultimately
trying to come at that little documentary and
right.
They'll try to come right. That ain't gonna hold you to the power.
Right. But he was blameless. He was blameless in the sight of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, first and foremost, man. Okay? So he basically was on point. Like you can't go into the scriptures and find, like you can go into the scriptures and find down points and negativity about certain great men.
Right.
But Daniel, nah. It ain't written.
I ain't thought about that.
It ain't written. Read that again, that last part.
Verse 4. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor
Right.
fault.
Right.
For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him.
Right. There was no error or no fault.
Can I get verse 5?
Yep.
It say, then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find against him concerning the law of his power.
Woo! So we can't find nothing bad against him according to our law. Let's go into his law and see if we can find something negative against him. They were trying to get him. They were hating, but they couldn't naysay. They couldn't do nothing. Daniel was so on point. Another thing, he was over their wise men. Mm-hmm. He was so get that Daniel 2 and 48.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I got it right here.
Yep.
This is the book of Daniel 2 and 48. Then the king made Daniel a great man.
Right.
And gave him many great gifts.
Right.
And made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon.
Right, now you got particular people that try to use this to say, well, I can run for governor, I can do this. Man, it ain't the same type of ball game, bro.
Right.
If you were able to run for governor and preach the kingdom and all that, then maybe, but you ain't gonna be able to do that here in this Babylon. It's a different time.
That's right.
You ain't getting elected, nigga.
If that's the
With your
case,
kufi on. Go ahead.
Yahushua would have did it.
Right. He was in Rome, a slave in Rome. Yahushua. You know? This is just his glory. This is Daniel's glory.
Right.
Now there's things we can take and help with our walk, but stop,
Right.
man.
Right. Way too much.
Go ahead.
Back in Daniel chapter 2, verse 48, it said, I'm going to just start from the top again. Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon.
Right.
And chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon.
Woo! 4 and 9, Daniel 4 and 9.
Daniel chapter 4, verse 9. O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee,
Right.
and no secret troubleth thee.
Right.
Tell me the visions of my dreams that I have seen.
He had to go to Daniel. Here it is, you took our temple down, you got all our gold, you got our silver, you got our mighty men, but you need us in order to prosper. Same thing with us, man.
Man, bro.
You ain't shit without us, man.
And what's crazy though, his musicians would be like, well, tell us the dream we interpret it.
Right.
They'd be like, no, man.
Right.
Tell me the dream. If I tell you, then you'll know.
Right.
They were like, let me go pray to my God.
Right.
No, just give me some time, let me go pray.
Right.
Bro, that's how think about it, bro.
Right.
I'm dreaming something, but you tell me to tell me the dream.
Right.
You interpret it. Okay, I get that, but
You don't lie.
y'all want to come in and be like, well, give me 2 days, bud.
Yeah.
And then I'm dreaming, and you come in and tell me the whole that dream.
The
that
dream
you
that
did.
I had.
That's heavy. That's gotta be a high power working with Daniel.
That's right.
He was on another level. That's why, he's so wise. Esau, the Lord was like, "You've become wiser than Daniel, and being able to predict the future and interpret this and that." You know, though it was a joke, but Esau on the left hand has been blessed. But who did he label him? Who did he equate him to? Daniel. So Daniel, man, imagine a conversation with this brother, man. Like, it had to be. He knew everything. The oils. Go ahead.
You remember when you read it in the book of Susanna,
Oh, yeah.
when Daniel had literally, he pretty much had investigated those two men, those two false accusers.
Right.
And when you read that, it'll go into wiser than Daniel. In
Right.
the next verse, it goes into how Esau is very good at
Right.
pretty much doing that type
Right,
of
doing
stuff.
that type
And
of
he's
stuff.
equating that with Daniel, just adding, laying back on what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll get that. Yep, in just a minute. But 4 kings made Daniel officer. We ain't got to get it. Nebuchadnezzar. That's Daniel 2 and 48. Belshazzar, Daniel 5 and 29. Darius, Daniel 6, 1 through 3, and Cyrus.
So he was the last. Okay.
So Daniel was all of them, all of their leaders, even the Persians, when they took the Babylonians down, was like, this is the man.
Yep, bro, he was renowned.
He was renowned. He was on point. He was on another level, man. Another fact about Daniel is that he had a slave name, just like us. He had a slave name, Daniel 4 and 8.
They changed his name. Daniel 4 and 8. But
Esther had a slave name. You know what I'm saying? Esther was her slave name. You know, Hadassah was her Hebrew name, which is Myrtle. You know, go ahead.
Mordecai as well.
Mordecai. Yep. They had slave names, just like us in Babylon.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Daniel 4 and 8. But at the last, Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods.
Woo! And
Wow.
Who is the spirit? The spirit in him. That's the sons of God.
Yep.
Like you got Jake bugging out trying to make the sons of God to be some angels who came down and looked for where the felines at. You know, put on a Michael Jordan. You a God. You fall from heaven and you look for. You want some pussy.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
That don't
man.
make no sense.
That don't make no sense, bro.
Man,
Come
straight up.
on, bro. Angels don't come down onto the earth to have sex with women, man. You guys are bugged out, man.
Go back to Greek mythology.
Greek mythology.
Oh, God. Yep.
Zeus in that ass.
Yes.
And Zeus like little boys. He would ignore the women. But God, the angels don't come down and have sex. Basically, the spirit that was in that flesh, they knew that's one of the sons of God.
Man.
Talking about Daniel, man. Go ahead. That's pretty much it on that.
Yeah, and before him I told the dream, saying.
So read his. What does that name mean? Can we look that up? Go ahead.
So it's from the Strong's. I'm just getting to it's in the lexicon. It says Baal's prince, an example, prince whom Baal favored.
Baal. So they put the name of his god. All right, like my slave name, Jason. Basically, that's a Greek name for healer.
Yep.
But in the Hebrew, it's Josiah. You see what I'm saying? So they basically gave, just like we got slave names, shit, Daniel had a slave name. So you could tie your story to that, brings you comfort. And, you know,
I thought about that
you know
last
what I'm saying?
night.
Yeah, you know, we going through the same,
We the same.
same
Yep.
thing. You know?
Baal's prince, that's a son, man. They named him a son of Baal.
Baal.
Their God.
Yep. And Jeremiah said, Baal is confounded. You know what I'm saying? But he had to do what he had to do. But he still won, and he stayed faithful to the Most High, man, to his son. So another thing is that Esdras mentions Daniel. Somebody damn, I had it pulled up on my phone. Daniel mentions Esdras. Basically, Daniel gives you a prophecy of the 4 beasts, and that 4th beast will be the last. But Esdras was given insight to go further into that 4th beast. And he tells you, this is I'm expounding upon the vision that Daniel got. You can just go to Apocrypha and type in Daniel and vision. I had it, but I'm on my phone.
The end shall
Yep.
come through them.
Yeah, just type in Daniel and vision, and whoever have an apocryphal search, and it'll bring you up a bunch of scriptures.
Oh man, let me do it.
You know, because basically them four, knowing that four beast vision, and then he talks about the little horn. Daniel prophesied of America's independence.
I got it.
Go ahead.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 11. And it says, the eagle, well, I'm going to start at the previous verse. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel.
Woo! The vision of thy brother Daniel. The fourth beast.
Right.
The eagle, Esau, Edom, having the fatness of the earth, man. It will be through this beast system. Go ahead.
But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare it unto thee.
Right. So basically, Daniel, you can read about the fourth beast, and it gives you particular insights on it. But Ezra's, that's linking, that's showing you the apocrypha of scripture.
Right. Right.
He's telling you, and his name is mentioned a few more times. You know what I'm saying? But that right there is one of the ways you can say the apocrypha is scripture. Ezra's is expounding upon Daniel's vision in Daniel the 4th chapter, where he goes into the four beasts. And the last beast was that fourth beast. Somebody get 2nd Ezra 11 and start at 38.
2nd Ezra 11 and 38.
Right.
Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee,
Right.
art now thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world
Right.
at the end?
Right. Right. And where can you read about those four beasts? Daniel the 7th chapter. You see that?
Man, that's
So Ezra's got further understanding to expound on that fourth beast, so that that's Esau. If you could read a little bit more.
It says,
And
that-
what's your chapter and verse you on Salaki?
Daniel 11 and 38.
Okay.
it says that the end of their times might come through them. And the fourth beast, it says, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great filthiness.
Right. And you know how he's expounding on it? Because somebody get Daniel 7 real quick, where it talks about the Roman Empire. It's like 8, but he's going to say something. But Ezra's expounding further upon it.
Daniel 7 and 8.
Yep.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little one.
You start at 7, bro.
Yeah, I'm just.
This is Daniel 7 and 7. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible,
Right.
and
A
strong,
fourth beast. What did Ezra just say? Are not thou remainest of the? Are not you the fourth beast? Go ahead.
kind of, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Right. Basically, this is speaking of the Roman Empire. Go ahead.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Because of their senate, the way that they brought their rulers in.
Yep.
Okay, was different than the different previous empires. Go ahead.
And it had 10 horns.
Right. The vassal states, which basically are an aid unto the major kingdom. Like America right now, you have the beast system. Those are vassal states. When you look at the Belgium, Netherlands, the EU, they're lesser powers, but they give their power to the beast to make Rome, America, Babylon that much greater. You see what I'm saying? They have their own thing going on, but they give their kingdom to the beast for the purpose of Babylon the Great, so that the words of the Lord can be fulfilled. But at the end, they would try to operate outside of Babylon the Great, and it would be a kingdom divided. The 10 toes. Go ahead.
Daniel 7 and 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
Right, another little horn. Now, when you look at the Roman Empire, they only control so much of the earth. Okay? Now, read that again in Daniel, 2nd Ezra 11.
2nd Ezra 11 and 38. No, I started 39. Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom
Right.
I made to reign in my world,
Right.
that the end of their times might come through them?
That the end is going to come through you. Go ahead.
And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past,
Right.
and had power over the world with great fearfulness.
Oh, the world, go ahead.
and over the whole compass of the earth.
The whole compass of the earth. So this is basically a fulfillment. Get Esau's blessing in Genesis, the 27th chapter. This is basically a fulfillment of Esau's blessing. It will be through this fourth beast. Because Rome didn't have dominion over the whole compass of the earth. It was through that little horn that came out of the fourth beast, which is Babylon the Great, the NATO and the EU, that they would get world domination.
You just continue from the past.
Continue. It's
That's all.
basically a revival. The
Right.
deadly wound was healed at the
Right.
Renaissance period, but the Renaissance period led to the French, the Spanish, the British, Babylon the Great. And through Babylon the Great, they got world domination along with the beast system. You know, we don't have to, we can get it. What did I ask for?
Genesis 27.
Yep, the fatness of the earth.
Genesis 27 and 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father.
Right.
And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him,
Right.
Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
You're going to have the whole world in your hands. The whole compass of the earth. What other kingdom has ran the whole earth? There's only two nations. I always say there's only two nations promised the world domination. Jacob and Esau.
Yep.
That's true.
Japhet ain't promised world domination. Where?
Right.
Japhet ain't even nowhere in end time prophecy really like that.
Nah, it just got that little.
If I was Japhet, I would have started a campaign cursing you niggas out. Because you gonna make me Esau. I'm just on the islands eating
Japhet
swine,
is
being a,
chilling.
you know, they wicked, but they ain't did, you know, we don't have a friction with them.
Right.
You know, like the Hawaiians. What have the Hawaiians ran a worldwide campaign to destroy Israel?
Right.
Shit, they be trying to be like Jake.
Yeah.
Especially around here.
Yep. They do.
True.
Samoans, yep. A lot of them Samoans are Jake though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in Oakland, I grew up with them Samoans.
Yep.
A lot of them are Jake.
Right. HB
A lot of those Cambodians are Jake. You know, but ultimately, this is talking about. Go ahead.
No, I just said a lot of Hawaiian women like us.
Right. Yep. Finish that.
It says,
Oh.
And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above.
Right.
And by the sword shalt thou live,
Uh-huh.
and shalt serve thy brother.
And he served us under David. Okay. But he's going to serve us again because remember he told Jacob, your brethren, you lord over them.
Yeah,
So it's set in stone, but there will come a point where you will wiggle away to get to where you are now, man. Go ahead.
It says, And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And
So he would have the fatness of the earth by the sword.
basically.
So go back to 2 Ezra 11.
Back in 2 Ezra chapter 11,
11.
2 Ezra chapter 11, back in verse
40.
verse 40, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were
The
passed,
fourth that Daniel spoke about. He's just expounding on it. Go ahead.
and had power over the earth with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth.
The whole compass, the fatness of the earth. That's Esau's blessing fulfilled, bro. God damn. Go ahead.
With much wicked oppression.
Woo! The sword.
Yeah, that made me think in Isaiah 14, and he who smote the
People would continue to rap. The Bible, man, bro. This is poetry in motion, man. Go ahead.
And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit.
With deceit,
Wow.
you know, with deceit, nigga, you a liar, bro.
Nigga, you-
And you've been found out. So that's pretty much it on that. Unless you want to keep reading.
Yeah, it's two more
Yep,
verses.
it hit it.
For the earth hast thou not judged with truth. Verse
Right.
42.
You've judged the earth with lies. And now the spiritual temple is being raised up. And you can't do shit. Because that's where the Spirit of the Lord dwells. Go ahead.
For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable, thou hast loved liars.
Right. That basically, by thy sword shall thou live.
Right.
Afflicting people, man. Nigga, go ahead.
And destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm.
Didn't do nothing, nigga. Pow! Go ahead. Go ahead.
Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the height,
It's come up. Your pride, your sins have reached unto heaven, boy.
Man, what's it? That's what
Yeah, we can take time out on Daniel and curse your ass out. Go ahead.
and thy pride unto the might.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. your sins have reached up to heaven. All of this links to Esau.
I gotta keep going. Bro.
Yeah, just finish it out.
Verse 45, and therefore appear no more thou evil.
Hey, ain't Esau tied to the eagle?
Yeah.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. Go ahead.
Nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers,
His rulers, his Caesars. Go ahead.
nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence.
The whole earth gotta be refreshed after this nigga's rulership.
That's crazy.
You a nigga. That's a nigga right there.
That's the real skill. That's the nigga, bro.
Isaiah 14 say the trees gonna, the
Fir
trees
trees.
gonna rejoice.
Right.
And when Esau
Right,
falls.
because he's cutting down the fir trees, which is the Christmas tree,
Right.
for the purpose of idol worship. The fir tree is literally what they call the Christmas tree.
They're like, damn,
So
bro.
the trees are like, nigga.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got just two
It
quick
says,
ones.
and that she made hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her.
Right. Go ahead.
That's it.
This is Revelation 18:5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities.
Right.
And it makes sense. All these previous prophecies with our fathers were going into of what they've done.
Right.
Then I got a quick one here. Ecclesiastes 4:1. So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter.
No comfort.
And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter.
Right. You see, on the side of Daniel's oppressors, they didn't have the power over him. Daniel was comforted. The spiritual temple was comforted. Daniel literally was the spiritual temple where the Lord dwelt. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right.
That's right.
So we're gonna get a few more, and then we'll close out. Daniel was mentioned in the book of Susanna in his young age. Let's get Susanna, verse 45.
It's the history of Susanna, verse 45. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death,
Right, because these two old freaks, who they were higher ups, I believe. They were elders.
They were higher
Nasty ass elders, bro.
Right.
Don't even bind them in.
Nasty niggas, man.
Right.
Try to run a train on her. That's why Daniel called them the seed of Canaan, because running a train is a Canaanite practice. He said, you the seed of Canaan and not a Judah.
Right.
You know? Go ahead.
Wow.
therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Lord raised up the Holy Spirit of a young youth.
Woo! He raised up his Holy Spirit. He was the spiritual temple.
Right.
He put the Holy Spirit in us. Same thing. To judge things aright. You know? Go ahead.
Whose name was Daniel, who cried with
And let's look up Daniel's name. We forgot that.
I looked it up earlier. It means the Most High is my judge.
The Most High is my judge.
Daniel.
Danya Allah.
Yeah.
Right. Dan, like Dan means judge. You know, go ahead.
who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned them toward him.
So could you imagine, because they were taking the word of these niggas. So everybody in the city was like, I can't believe you nasty Susanna. What Susanna means roe or
It means little.
lily. Lily, which is the Most High's favorite flower. So it's symbolic of the elect.
Right.
You know? Look, go ahead. And I did a lesson on it, but go ahead.
He was the judge of that.
He was the judge of that.
Man.
Right. He was the judge of that. Daniel was set up to be the judge of that. You know?
Then all the people turned them toward him and said, what mean these words that thou hast spoken?
Right.
So he standing in the midst of them said,
Right.
Are you such fools, ye sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, you
Right.
have condemned a daughter of Israel? Keep on.
Yeah, a little bit more. Unless there's some more. Anything brothers can think of that may need to come out in this story?
Man,
That's
I got this right
Yeah,
here.
let Shar take over from here. He ready. He ready. Go ahead.
But when you went into wiser than Daniel, and this is going into that example with Daniel right here, how he had examined the situation.
Right.
Because they tried to hide wickedness.
Right.
This is Ezekiel 28:4. It says, 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
Right.
Now, I was using Esau as that example
Right,
because Daniel could find
That's
those
true.
secrets out.
That makes sense.
That's the example
that makes
right
sense,
there.
bro. That makes sense, man.
So quick, see?
Go ahead.
Back in Susanna, verse 49. Return again to the place of judgment. for they have borne false witness against her.
Right.
Wherefore all the people turned again in haste, and the elders said unto him,
So basically, Daniel judged the situation and she was acquitted. And when you read the last verse, it said, from that day forth, Daniel had in great reputation in the sight of the people. So this was a part of it, you know, why he came to that great. Now, what is one more point? What is one more? Could anybody think of what it may be?
What now?
There's one more point about Daniel I'm gonna bring out. Can anybody think of anything that may have been left out?
That he was gonna he was gonna be here in the last days.
That too. Oh, that's another one. Salakia. Let's get that, and then the last one. Yeah, because he's gonna prophesy again.
The last one for
Let's
the
get
last
that. Yeah.
I got it.
The last one before I got that somewhere.
Daniel 12 and 13.
Yep.
It says, it said, I saw
Yep.
that 13. It says, but go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the day.
He go rest,
That reincarnation.
stand in
that's-
his lot at the end of days.
Somebody got to be Daniel.
Hey, book of Revelation. Those visions was given to Daniel. And John was told, you go prophesy. Somebody get that in Revelation 10. But go ahead, read that again.
Daniel 12 and 13. But go thou thy way to the end be, for thou shalt rest.
You shall rest. What does rest mean?
You gonna go to the spirit.
You will go to the spirit world. And the crazy thing about it is even wicked Israelites were said to go rest with their fathers. So why didn't they go to hell?
Right.
But go ahead.
And stand in thy lot, Daniel was a prophet at the end of the day.
At the end of days, Daniel was
He'll be
prophesied to be
prophesying.
standing in his lot.
Right.
Yep.
Okay? Go ahead.
This is Revelation 10 and 11. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again.
This is what the angel said to John. That you must prophesy again. Go ahead.
Thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings.
And John was given a heavy portion.
Man.
He got a heavy portion, man. All right? So what can anyone else think of that we can go into Daniel that may be of importance? If not, it's cool. All right, I'll go ahead and get it. Daniel introduces Gabriel and Michael.
Never.
That's the first time they were mentioned is in Daniel.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get Daniel 8 and 15 and read through 19. See what I'm saying? The first time they were mentioned was in the book of Daniel. And Gabriel was the one who came to Mary and Joseph about Yahushua. But they were first mentioned through in Daniel's story. Gabriel actually helped him to expound on particular visions.
Right.
And Michael was just mentioned. Like Michael didn't have direct communication with him, but he was mentioned to be there at that time.
Gabriel helped Daniel a lot.
That's crazy.
Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning.
He sought for the meaning. Because we talk about how great he was, but we can't forget, you great because the Spirit of the Lord sends angels to open up things to you.
Right.
You know? Even Israel at the time of Joshua and Caleb, they were great because that angel was there to aid them. So it's not so much of us, but it's of the Spirit. You know? Go ahead.
Precept.
Yep.
Amos 3 and 7. Sure that nor power will do nothing, but he revealed his secret unto his servants the prophets.
There you go. When you read that in the NLT, it shows you, you know. Go ahead.
Back in Daniel 8 and 15. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning.
Right.
Then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Gilai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
Gabriel. It's the first time Gabriel's mentioned.
Right.
See? Go ahead.
So he came near where I stood. So he came near where I stood. And when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. Woo! But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for the time of the end shall be the vision.
God. Go ahead.
Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground.
Right.
But he touched me and set me upright.
Get your ass up. Go ahead.
And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be.
There you go. So he showed him the end. Ezra's further expounded upon it for us. Now get Daniel 9 and 21. Then somebody get Daniel 10 and 13. And
I got
then
that 10.
yep, 9 and 21.
So Daniel 9 and 21. Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation.
Right.
And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding.
Woo! So it's the angels that are responsible for giving you skill and understanding, man. Right. Daniel was great, but how greater is Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, who sent the angel to comfort him, man. Yeah. Same thing with us, man. All right, is it more? Where you at, Daniel?
22, 25.
Okay.
9 and 23. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved.
Beloved, greatly
Right.
beloved. Go
That's
ahead.
right. That's right.
He's of that house of David, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Therefore understand the matter and consider the vision.
Right.
And then he goes into the prophecy.
Then he goes into the prophecy. Now 10 and 13, and then jump to 21.
Okay.
Then Daniel 12 and 1. That's it.
This Daniel 10 and 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me. Withstood me 1 and 20 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me.
So that's the first time Michael's mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And I remained there with the kings of Persia.
Mm-hmm.
And you said jump to what now? Or read 14?
21. Or if you want to, if it's good. But 21 is a point.
I'll read verse 14 and then 21.
Yep.
It says, Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people.
The angels do that.
Mm-hmm. In the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. And he said, jump to 21, right?
Yep, 21.
It says in Daniel 10 and 21, But I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael your prince.
Michael your prince.
It's heavy.
12 and 1. And then we can get that revelation. Because John mentioned Michael. He mentioned him again. You know what I'm saying? Daniel, John. You know?
That's right.
Go ahead.
This is Daniel 12 and 12 and 1. This is Daniel 12 and 1. And it says, And at the time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. The scriptures are true.
The book of life. The book of life. Daniel 12 and 7. And there was war in heaven, meaning Esau's fighter jets and the technology trying to fight the chariots. Michael, 12 and 7. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels, which is Esau's power structure fighting against the return of the Messiah. And Michael was a high up general within the holy host of the Lord. So,
man,
you know, that concludes it. You know,
If I can say something,
yep.
They also, like Esau got a military unit called Blue Angels, you know, fighter jets, they do the tricks and air shows.
Yeah, they're going to try to fight the angels. You know? So, that concludes it. Just wanted to go into a few facts on Daniel. Hopefully I'll edify. We'll give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone. Peace and salutation unto the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.